Welcome everyone to Halloween Town. Hey everyone, it's Maximus, and welcome to another Halloween Town build. This time we're working on the third house on this lot so far, and if you haven't seen the first episode, do check it out. It gives you information about how to participate in this shell challenge that's going on, as well as a bit more details of what we're doing here, but this is the third build, so do enjoy the process. It was a bit of a challenge because we were dealing with diagonals, kind of like the first one, but we managed. We managed to figure it out somehow. And if you want to check this out live, I will have my stream linked down below in the description so you can follow me there and check these out live. Now, this being the second biggest build on this lot, I decided that this house would fit a family of 4. The family consists of 2 parents, a teen, and a child. The family that lives here are farmers. They do a lot of farming because they have a bit more land, so they can do some, growing of crops like pumpkins, a bit of contribution to Halloween Town. I wanted to play with accents of green in this house. I really wanted to go for a green house, but I couldn't figure out what kind of exterior I could work with because of the limited packs that I'm using, which is Seasons, Cottage Living, Spooky Day stuff, and Get Together. So I was limited with what I had available for the outside. On the inside, bottom floor, I went for a more open floor plan because of working on the diagonal, and it was already a bit of a struggle to get the floor plan to work this way, so I went for decorating the walls, at least the exterior most walls, with the brick that comes on the bottom of the floor, and then I added this wood that comes from Spooky Day in a brown, so it gives that bit of a warm vibes, which I have been adding into all the builds. And then I did try this one from Get Together, and it actually looked pretty nice, so I went with that one in the end. And here I am just changing the window colors to be a bit more brown, or at least a little closer to a warmer tone so that it doesn't stand out as much with the walls. Pretty much adjusted all the windows, and I believe it's here. Yes, I went back to that Get Together wallpaper and added that to the walls. So now the house is a bit more on the brown side outside, but I will add more green accents on the inside, and I'm just adding in these windows to the rest of the build. I will adjust it as necessary. I wanted to try these cottage living windows, but they just were too small, so I just copied and pasted this version of the cottage living windows and just put that all around. And then the other windows on the side are another cottage living window. Then we have the balcony here, which is accessible for the topmost floor, and here is where I changed the wall, or at least I changed the fencing, which is allowed for the shells. It is on the shell challenge rules. You can change the fencing, but only with the other fencing, and I went for this stone fencing that comes with cottage living. It has a bit of the greenish brown tint, so I just again used the same windows that I had all around the house, and then I took this door that I think is usually a front door, but I used it for the and the exit to the balcony, and then I added this floor trim all around the house to give it a bit more of a finished look to it, and then I added some columns on the sides, as you will see. Now for my favorite part of the build, which is the landscaping, I went for a overgrown look, mainly because I figured since they're farmers, they probably have a lot of plants that they have around the house that just they let grow and they use for pollinators and stuff like that. So I went for a lot of these low-lying plants, overgrown, messy grass, some lavender, just to give it that overgrown look. I also add a little seating area here so that your Sims can enjoy the outside on the good days where the weather is nice and there's no rain, and it's a nice little overgrown area. I went for some whites and purples as the accents to the already green grass, and then of course I added the spooky elements, which were the Halloween the spooky day lights, as well as some pumpkin decor and other little lights that you will see as it's being added. The stone bench comes from Get Together, as I am looking through here. It's right here, yes. This stone bench, it comes from Get Together. It fits more with the ruins, but I just thought it was such a nice little piece here, and then I added a little side table with a light there, so it gives its own little cozy vibes in this little nook in the garden, which is like this little front courtyard. Now, I don't show it all, but for most of this build, I do take these vines and this wall decor of plants that come in both cottage living and Get Together, and I just put these in certain parts of the build that aren't going to affect gameplay when you have the walls down, because they will still be visible, at least because they are not properly on the grid, and even if they were, I think they still are visible. But I just decorated with these flowers, again matching the flowers that we kind of already have, which is going to be a lot of whites and a lot of greens. So a lot of the walls are going to be decorated this way. I'm just showing you a bit of what a lot of this build is already going to have. Now from the farm space, I did add some plots that come with cottage living. I put 3 of them that look like they have been plowed, and they have their lines to indicate that they are ready to be, planted in, as you normally see. And then I just added one that was unfinished. They're probably just starting it out for this season. And then I had this little stump that has the rabbits. I added that in this area, and I also added the chicken coop. And then in this corner here, I just continued on with the overgrown shrubbery and stuff like that. It's not accessible, but it is a nice little touch. And now we move on to the kitchen area, which changed it up a bit compared to my previous kitchens. So I added this stove from Cottage Living in the green swatch, and then I added the matching fridge to go with it. I went for these countertops from Base Game to give it a bit more traditional vibes, but also a bit more modern compared to what is in the other builds. And then because we had so much space, I was able to actually have a full-on dining and living space in this open area. I wanted to go for something a bit more round, but with the packs that I had, I didn't have the right size of round table, so I decided to go for a square table in the end. Then I added the kitchen sink, which sometimes I do forget when I'm building, so I made sure to add that. I also added some clutter like these cards that come from seasons, and then they're in the spooky stuff. I also added some orange flowers, and then I just put some trash containers around the house, as well as add this little rug in the entry hall right here. So just moving around, decorating the entry hall, the kitchen space, and I added this green rug. It has some pink accents in it, but compared to the round rug, it just did not look good. But I've decided to go with a bit of a brownish rug, so it kind of works well with things. I added more clutter to the counters. I'm gonna fix this up later. Now we move on to the living area, and out here I wanted to add the little spooky rug that comes from Spooky Stuff, which is a skull, a pumpkin, as well as a bat. And I also wanted to use these couches from Spooky Day because I don't normally use these couches in my builds, but since we are limiting our packs for this challenge, I felt this was the perfect place to add this couch. And to match it, I went with the Seasons couch, which just about follows the similar color scheme. It may not be an exact swatch, and I changed the rug to be this pumpkin swatch to fit with the built-in cushions. And then I added these little tables to add some more decor. After adding this little games table here, I took the chairs from the dining space to match with the rest of the room, and then I added this little painting from Seasons, and then I added these cushions that came with the base game holiday battle pass, whatever it was, way back earlier in the year, and I sized them down. I went for orange and yellow so that it would match with the Seasons built-in cushion, and then I just sized down the orange to be like these little cushions to add some finer details to the build. And then I just added like an additional orange to this couch here, so it looks like there was another pillow with that one that you can see right there with the Seasons. And for the coffee table, I went for this one from Get Together so that I can put this little wreath in the middle, because it's perfect for like fall spooky season. And now we move on to the bathroom, which has a bit of an interesting layout. The shower I moved to the other wall, but this side I'm having the toilet and the sink. And then I just added a couple of rugs, some decor for the walls. Because it is a small space, I did not have a lot to add here, but I did focus on a lot of things being on the walls, and this is 100% functional. Now we're going to move up to the upstairs, where there are the teens room and the child room. By the way, this house only has 2 baths, so the upstairs room is the main bedroom, but you are more than welcome to just have one parent or just a parent and one child and use the second floor bathroom, but otherwise they're going to have to come from upstairs to the second floor or even the downstairs. But yes, here I am working. I grabbed these beds from base game, and this one is actually from Cottage Living for the teens room. This could also be like a young adult's room. And I just went for like some old furniture that would fit the vibes of the house. I figured this would be like a house that's been here for a while, it's been renovated. That's kind of why all the rooms are a bit awkward. And to reinforce some of the orange that is kind of in the bedding, I took these curtains from Seasons. And then I added this cottage living rug to add more of that warm tones to this room as well. For the child's room, I went for a bunk bed to have more space, and I just added a couple of dressers. Some toys. I made sure to grab that lovely Blarfy that you get. That's the spooky Blarfy from Spooky Day. And I also made sure to have a couple of decor items like some sports equipment and a toy chest, as well as the fancy house from base game. And to finish off the room, I added these fairy lights, which were the stars, and these little skull lights. The stars are base game, but the skull lights come from Spooky Day, and I just added more of these lanterns. These ones come from Spooky Day. I don't normally use them, but I figured why not use them for this build, so I added them along with more of the stars into the teens room. And that's how this part of the house got so far. So now we're going to move on to the bathroom of the second floor. Now both are full baths, as you can see. This one was fun to do. I had to play around with this, the shape of everything, but I took this clawfoot tub. This comes from Cottage Living, and then I just added a sink and a couple of decor items to make it a little more lived in, if you will. And in this tower, I added an art station as well as a chair for the child. And in the hallway, I just have a little library nook as well as some rugs and paintings. And I just put up some curtains. So now let's move on to the upstairs. This is the upstairs as well as the parents' room. This could also be a guest room if you don't want to use 4 Sims in this house. But they have a private seating space here with a fireplace. For these 2 Sims, I was thinking maybe they do a bit of painting and a bit of writing during the seasons that are a bit more, you know, not as busy working on the fields. So they also have a computer as well as an easel and even a telescope up here. So this brings us to the end of the build. Now the tour, like I mentioned in the first video, will be on the last video because these recordings already go so long anyway, so it's better to give a grand tour of everything when it's all completed. So do look out for that video. I will also have a stream. I will have that scheduled sometime next week, or at least I'll have an alert for when it goes live so that you guys can watch the final build, which is the major middle build there. But we still have one more build that'll be up next week. So thank you all so much for watching this video and making it this far. Let me know what you like about this build, or if you've even seen the other 2 builds, which one of so far is your favorite. And for me, I think I like this one because it's so big and cozy, but I also like the cottage because it has like its own little, isolated taste to it. It's a little cozy in that regards. So until next time we meet, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye bye.